Go. You can actually see me now. Hello, welcome back. This is a Game Week 20 live stream. As you can tell, fully prepared, never at all late. Who said I was late? You didn't say I was late because I'm not. It's only 9:01. Let me know where you're tuning in from. Let me know what you're doing right now. And I will do my best to answer all of your questions relevant to Game Week 20. Who do we have in the chat? Zodiac, Claudette, all of the mods here. Harris, Frosty. Cool, we are modded up today. That's what we like to see. Good to see you all. Polkit in the chat. Lots of members in the chat as well. Also love to see it. We want Egg. Egg is here. Egg is here. FPL console raid. Nice, very nice. Yep. Good to be in the stream this morning. Robin says, Sup Raptor, Mystic, good evening. Good evening. I guess it could be an evening for you. For me, it's not an evening, it's a morning. United are going to kill it this week. Oh, that would be nice. That would be nice. We've got, who else do we have in the chat? We've got FPL Pickle in the chat. Good to see you, Pickle. Who else do we have? Lots of regulars. ISO Magic in the chat. Nicola, Jan, Miguel. Thank you all for being here. I appreciate you more than you know. If my lips look a little bit shiny, I just put some Vaseline on. So, ignore the shine. Can't have dry lips. No one likes dry lips, do they? There's my number one tip for you today. No one likes dry lips, and don't get sus with it either. Right, on that wonderful note, I've made 2 transfers already. 2 transfers. I'm not swearing at you. I've made 2 transfers, and the reason I don't actually know if they changed in price. One sec. This is a terribly chaotic start, but I want to see if these players changed in price. There were 4 players that I was obviously taking out 2 players and bringing in 2 players, and all 4 of them were approaching a price change of some kind. So, okay, I probably didn't. Okay, fair play. One of them changed in price, so I probably didn't need to move early, but I did anyway. It also means that there's no chance of me overthinking it as well. And let's be real, I do have a tendency to overthink these things sometimes. So, without further ado, let's jump into it. This is my team. Beautiful. Now, what I would like to happen for the next, let's say 5 to 10 minutes, is I want you to all just compliment my team. Tell me that you love my team. Tell me that my team's pretty. Tell me that I'm pretty. I'll just sit here. I'm not even going to speak. I'm just going to sit back, and I just want loads of compliments about how great my team is. I'm not going to read out your name, because, wow. Son to Foden with 2 free transfers and no fires to get ahead. Yeah, I don't mind that, actually. I mean, Son could do well today, but you would imagine it's not going to be a massive haul. And it does get you 1 transfer ahead. So do you know what? Yes, why not? Your team sucks. Your team sucks. Your girlfriend's team is better. Okay, there are some compliments. Thank you. I know Darwin's on the bench. I don't like it. Your team sucks. Guys, I said compliments, not insults. It's rude. Cap says bench 1, Saliba, Estepinian, or Porro. I'd be tempted by Porro, you know, but maybe you just go real attacking with Estepinian and Porro and then bench Saliba. I think if you've got Estepinian in your team, you've got to give that man a go. You know, he's probably going to start this game. Will he get 60 minutes? Maybe. And he's just got such attacking threat. I'd probably start Estepinian. And then it's between the other 2, I guess. Bilal says, 4 a.m. here in Ottawa, Canada, watching Raptor. What a legend. That is commitment right there. I love you for doing that. FPL Pickle says, basically copying me. How do you know you're not copying me, Pickle? How do you know that? I mean, you're the one that's in the stream watching me, so maybe you're copying me. Didn't consider that one, did you? Did you? Your team isn't as pretty as you, Ross. Thank you. That's more along the lines of what I was hoping for here. Morning, Ross. Sorry, my transfers. If you're tuning in and you've not seen my team before, my transfers were Trippier and Martinelli to Trent and Foden. So Trent and Foden came in for me. It does give me double Man City attack, and as you can see, the armband is on Alvarez. We'll run a captaincy poll in a second. Kay says, good morning, Ross. Bench 1, Solanke, Palmer, Saka. The only one I wouldn't bench is Solanke, and that will be a common theme for what I'm advising you to do throughout this video. I'd play Solanke ahead of both Palmer and Saka. I'd probably just about lean Palmer, because I think Palmer and Saka have got very similar output and data. I think they're both good. I just think the fixture is slightly more difficult for Palmer. So for that reason, I would edge towards benching Palmer and starting Saka. If it was the other way round, that it was Palmer against Fulham away and Saka against Luton away, I'd probably bench Saka. I've also got the difficult issue of I want to play Darwin. So I might end up benching Palmer or Saka myself. It's funny because I saw Harris earlier say that he might captain Saka, and I'm tempted to bench Saka. It's interesting, again, back on Harris there. He's just said in the chat, let me find it. Alvarez against a low block and dropping deeper in possession as well as 2 goals in 10. I'm of the opinion a low block will suit Alvarez better. So if you watch the Everton game, there were quite a few times when Alvarez could run in behind. I don't think Alvarez ran in behind once. He doesn't have the legs. And I was shocked by this, but I've been watching him the last couple of games. Alvarez isn't as fast as he looks, and he doesn't really run the channel. So I don't actually think that a high line would suit Alvarez. I think it would suit Foden. Foden was the one bursting forward and making those runs in behind. So I actually would argue a low block may suit Alvarez better. And I've seen these tweets and threads going around at the moment where strikers against low blocks, such as Sheffield United, tend to struggle. Alvarez isn't a striker. He's not playing in a striker position. As you said there, he's actually dropping into midfield. So I actually think this is a fixture which could suit Alvarez, if anything. Do you think Foden suits a low block? There you go. I think Foden suits any... Foden's great, but I think I would argue maybe he suits a high line kind of game, like an Aston Villa-esque type game. I think Foden would be good in. Not that he did anything in that game, but that kind of defence. Spurs, Aston Villa, where it's very, very quick on the transitions. That's the word I was looking for. So like they're transitioning from defence to attack. That's where Foden's best for me. But I mean, Foden, I've just brought Foden in. I obviously think Foden will do very well this week. Otherwise, I wouldn't have brought him in. But I think this game suits Alvarez. Maybe I'm just trying to convince myself to captain him. Who knows? I do that a lot. I do that quite often. Start Gordon or Gahey, you're pretty. Thank you, Zane. I would start Gordon. Yeah, definitely start Gordon. I know he's not great away and it's Liverpool and whatnot, but start the attacker, especially when Gahey's not got, I was going to say any attacking threat. He's just not got much attacking threat. Nicholas says, bench 1, Payne, Solanke, Son, Palmer, Nkunku, Foden. I'd bench Palmer again there, probably, you know. I just don't think you can bench Solanke or Son. Maybe Nkunku. Palmer or Nkunku I would bench there. Somac says, hi Ross. 1, Simicast to Estepinian. 2, Archer to Alvarez. 3, Gordon to Foden. 4, 2 and 3 combined. Yeah, I like 2 and 3 combined if it's for free. If not, I would just go the Archer to Alvarez move, and then I'd keep Gordon. Yeah, so either 2 or 4 I would go for. Ahmad says, 1 free transfer. Gordon and Darwin in the starting 11. Gordon to Foden or Darwin to Alvarez or roll the transfer. I've got a feeling Darwin could do well this week, which is why I want to play him. But is he a better hold long term? I would probably edge Gordon to Foden there. No, I wouldn't. That's so tough. I think Alvarez is a slightly better pick. And I think from GameWeek 23, Gordon will be great again. So I guess I would just about lean towards... Oh, I hate that. I would lean towards Darwin to Alvarez just. I think it's worth making the move, though. Law says, bench Gabriel or Udogie. I'd bench Udogie there. Yeah, I'd bench Udogie. Thinking the same Martinelli to Foden, but don't have Alvarez. Can go Archer to Alvarez and bench Martinelli or just get Foden. Yeah, I would do Archer to Alvarez and bench Martinelli. I feel like Martinelli just needs one game. You know, one game where he scores a couple and I think he'll go on a nice run. I think he's close. So if you can get away with not having to sell him, then maybe you do that. But I couldn't keep him. I've had him for weeks now and he's just not it. By the way, if you are enjoying the stream and you want to help me out, please do smash that like button, especially at the start of the stream. It makes it a lot better for the algorithm. And also make sure to subscribe as well. I was trying to hit 110,000 subscribers before the end of the year, but let's aim for 109,000. So we're about 250 off. So if you can subscribe if you've not yet, I would really appreciate that. Also, this is my final piece of content for 2023. So if you stop listening soon, thank you for being here this year. It's been the best year of my life, probably, but also comfortably, obviously, the best year on YouTube as well. So thank you. Also, make sure to join the Discord. Harris is currently spamming the Discord link in the chat. If you're in the chat right now, click on that, join our Discord for free. They've made loads and loads of improvements. Darlin and Harris in particular have done some amazing work over there. Start Palmer or Richarlison? I'd start Palmer. Richarlison's getting quite a few early subs at the moment. Whether that's due to an injury or not, we don't know. And also, we think Palmer's probably still on penalties. Could be Nkunku, but yeah. Captaincy poll, absolutely. Thank you for remembering. This is going to be an interesting one. I would imagine that Salah's probably the favourite, but I'll be interested to see by how much. Game Week 20 Captaincy poll. Make sure to vote on this poll when it lands. We've got Salah. Who are you captaining at the moment, chat? Who's the third most popular option? Is it Watkins or Son? Spam in the chat who you are captaining, and then I will choose the third most popular option to go on the poll. It'll probably either be Son or Watkins. Okay, Watkins, Son, Watkins. I think Watkins is just ahead of Son. I can't have both because you can only have 4 options. So, I'm going to probably... Yeah, there's some Fodens in there as well. I'll go Salah, Alvarez, Watkins, other. There you go, chat. There is now a poll in the chat. Obviously, if it's other, then feel free to comment. It looks like the others that aren't on the poll, there's a few Solankis, there's a few Trents, Fodens, and Son. I think those seem to be the 4 most popular other captains. Just got a few super chats to answer. And thank you, as always, to those people that have dropped a super chat. Bench 1, Saka, Palmer, Alvarez, or Bowen? I'd probably say Palmer. Just about Palmer. Salah, Saka, Son, Palmer, Bowen, Solanke, Watkins. Does it make sense to sell someone to get Alvarez/Foden? Probably not, mate. Probably not. I would say the only one that potentially makes sense is selling Son or Salah, just to get yourself one transfer ahead. But I don't feel like you need to do that. In your position, I think you maybe just go without Man City attack. Do I sell Haaland and take the 4-point hit? If it's for Alvarez, then yeah, maybe. Because you'd imagine that Alvarez hopefully makes that back over the next week or two, depending on who's on your bench. Like, if you don't make that move, who's going to come on? But I'd be tempted to do so, yeah, because we just don't know when Haaland will be back. Polkit drops the team and says, 2 free transfers, 3.4 in the bank. What to do? Thanks. Yeah, team's in a great position. I would say Trippier to Trent, which is kind of what I did, or you sort out your goalkeepers a little bit and maybe bring in Edison or Raya. Yeah, I would do one of those 2 things there. Sort out Trippier or do to Trent or get a goalkeeper transfer. Jack says, hey Ross, Gahey and Darwin to Porro and Alvarez for a -4. Also, Happy New Year. Happy New Year as well to you, Jack. I hope you have a great 2024. I quite like that, yeah. I would be tempted to just not make the Gahey switch because I don't think there's a massive upside for Porro this week. And I'd be tempted to just do Darwin to Alvarez for free. I don't think you need to take that -4 right now. Liam says, hi Ross, Solanke to Alvarez or Gordon to Foden? I would do Gordon to Foden. I don't like the idea of selling Solanke this week myself. Jeremy says, hi Ross, great to see you again. Great to see you again, thank you. Would you bring in Alvarez captain for Mubama or play Martinelli? Yeah, I'd bring in Alvarez captain for Mubama. Listen, myself included, but most people you listen to this week are going to say, if you can roll the transfer, roll it. And there is good reason for that. Firstly, there's a 2-week break before Game Week 21. And when there's a long period of time, so many different things can change, injuries in training, whatever. Obviously, the January transfer market as well. So having 2 free transfers, great for that reason. And also, there is a chance that Haaland is back in 21. And there's also a chance that we get a double game week announcement before the 21 deadline. So having 2 free transfers is incredibly useful. But at the same time, don't miss out on a great transfer you could do for free. Like bringing in Alvarez, and if you're going to captain him, if you think he's the best captaincy option, of course, that is such a high upside move that it's still worth doing, even if you only have the one free transfer, I think. So, like, don't miss out on potential points just because someone's told you should try and have 2 free transfers. I guess is what I'm trying to get at. FPL Zin says, Gordon to Foden or Archer to Alvarez for a -4 worth it. Have to bench Saliba if I do. Nah, not for the -4. You would imagine that Saliba plus the 4 points could get close to Foden or Alvarez, as long as you think there is a good alternative captain. If you think Alvarez is like comfortably the best captain, then do it. If you think it's close, just captain Salah and start Saliba, in my opinion. Jay says, hello, bud. Hope you had a quality Christmas. I did, thank you. It was very lovely. Got 4 scenarios for you, please. Start Gordon over Zinchenko. Also starting Gabriel. 1 transfer Gordon to Foden. And then 1 transfer Mabama to Alvarez. And then 4 is 2 and 3 for a hit. I'd go 3. Mabama to Alvarez. That would be the way I'd lean. I think if you're in a position where you've only got 7 attackers and you've got like an Archer or a Mabama that you can just move up to Alvarez, that feels like a relatively straightforward transfer for me for free. For a hit, I'm less sure because it may be that you can play someone else instead. But yeah, it feels like slight overthinking to me to not just bring in Alvarez from Mabama or Archer. Unless you've got someone in your midfield that you'd rather take out, or unless you think Foden is just a better option. But I would just upgrade it. I was chatting to FPL Harry last night, and he was just overthinking it so much. I was just like, just bring in Alvarez for Archer. But that's, I mean, if Alvarez blanks, then it looks like a terrible move, right? I should know Alvarez has been an absolute stink bomb of a player. Before you go and rush to bring him in and captain him, he hasn't scored above 10 points since game week 4, and that was only on 1 occasion. He does have 5 goals, 8 assists, but the assists aren't enough. You need more goals from him. So the thing that encourages me with Alvarez is that 0.77 XGI against Luton and 1.7 against Everton. Even again, if you take away the penalty, it's still almost 1 XGI. So I feel like he's moving in the right direction, but yeah. No, what's the word I'm looking for? No guarantee that he does anything, of course. Right, let me make sure I answer those super chats that I missed. Limit613, thank you for the super chat. Says, hi Ross, is this a good week to bench boost? Could be. Let me see the team. Emi, Areola, Porro, Zinchenko, Trippier, Taylor, Kabore, Gordon, Son, Salah, Kudus, Palmer, Alvarez, Solanke, Watkins. 2 free transfers. Plan is Trippier to Trent, Kabore to someone else. Enough for a bench boost? No. Not for me. The reason that I say that is you've got some potential issues. We don't know that Kudus will actually play in Game Week 20. David Moyes couldn't confirm whether he'd play because West Ham actually play on the 2nd of January, and that is after the deadline or threshold for when a lot of players go off to AFCON with their teams. So it could be that Kudus doesn't play. On top of that, you'd end up playing Taylor. That bench boost doesn't look great to me. I'd probably just save it. But I think, is it in general an okay week to bench boost? It could be. But do remember that we only had a deadline 3 or 4 days ago. A lot of teams have just played a few days ago. So there could also be rotation. I would rather play a bench boost in a week where it's not a quick turnaround. And I know for a fact all 15 of my players are likely to start. Which I don't think in your case, that is the situation. Play Dubravka in goal instead. Typical 0-0 incoming. Or 0-0, I should say. Could be. I mean, I've got Salah and Trent. I kind of expect them to do quite well. I'm worried about having Darwin. I can't see it being a 0-0, but maybe. I've just sold Trippier and I've benched Dubravka, so I hope it's not a 0-0. Although I do have Trent, so it's not the end of the world. I had Alvarez, so I switched to Darwin. You had Alvarez, so you switched to Darwin. Do you mean the other way, or have you literally sold Alvarez to Darwin? That's a bold move if you have. Martin, bench 1, Saka, Palmer, Solanke. It's got to be Palmer, I think, sadly. Have 2 free... I mean, Luton are really good at home. That's the only reason I'm saying Palmer. It's not that I think Palmer's a bad option. It's just that Luton are pretty decent at home. Have 2 free transfers, already own Alvarez, okay? Playing 3-4-3. Should I bring in Foden, Bowen for Salah, Son and roll the other 3? What is your suggestion? I think if the rest of your team is absolutely perfect and you've got 2 free transfers, bringing in probably Foden for Son or Bowen for Son doesn't feel like the worst transfer. But do bear in mind that Son is Son and he could do very well this week. But yeah, I think if you're in a real good position, it does get you 1 transfer ahead. Yibin says, start one of Anderson versus Brentford at home or Trippier Gordon versus Liverpool away. Brentford look toothless at the moment. I'd probably still start Trippier there just because he has the most routes to points, clean sheets, attacking returns from open play, crosses and also set pieces. So I think I'd actually lean Trips there, but it's close. Do you plan on getting Trippier back in 3 weeks? Not at the moment, no. But if over the next 3 weeks Newcastle start to look more themselves, Trippier looks a little bit better, they get players back from injury, then yes, I may go back to Trippier. I'm not stubborn enough to just say, no, I'm not going back there. But I don't have a plan to go back to Trippier at the moment. Cameron says, who to bench or bench boost? Turner to Bravka. So I would bench here Turner, Branthwaite, and Porro. And then from your attackers, I'd probably bench Palmer. That is starting to move towards a bench boost, though. That one's a little bit closer to a bench boost, Cameron. Especially if you've got a free transfer to improve your team slightly, then I mean that is a very close bench boost. The only issue with that bench boost is your backup goalkeeper's not great. I mean, neither of the goalkeepers are great. Turner and Dubravka both have a tricky fixture. So if you could improve the backup goalkeeper, maybe it moves you more towards a bench boost. Thoughts on captaining Palmer, given the fact that I have Salah, Son and Watkins? I'm not that keen on captaining Palmer. I don't think people realise. We'll have a look at the data in a second. Luton are very good at home, defensively. Start Hwang or Palmer? Just because he's a slight injury doubt, I would probably start Palmer. Because Hwang is a slight doubt. You never know, he could start on the bench. I know it looks like he'll be fit and he's been in training, but you just never know. Salah says, transfer share to Ake, Diaz, Guardiola, or start Gahey. I'll just start Gahey this week. Start Decore versus Wolves or Colwell versus Luton. Decore's data has been good. I'd be tempted by Decore, you know. I would be. Right, let me have a quick look at their data because it'll be interesting actually to see whether Palmer's good at away and at home as well, because I haven't actually looked at that data. We can also look at Chelsea too. If we firstly look at teams and we look at home only, expected goals conceded. Oh, I thought they were slightly better than that. That must have changed recently. Who have they played at home? Let me switch back here. Sorry, I'm trying to work this out because I looked at this not that long ago and Luton were like mid-table at home. Let me just type in like Kaminsky. Have they played someone at home recently that they got battered by? Not battered as such, but they obviously conceded a decent amount of XG against City and Newcastle. But only 1.6 against each. I mean, that is quite impressive. But I suppose Liverpool put 3 XG against them at home. Spurs put 2. I don't think they're a great defence at home, but they're certainly better at home than they are away, I guess, is more along the lines of what I'm trying to say. But that doesn't massively prove what I'm trying to say. But I guess you got to think Man United are a worse defence at home. Spurs are worse. Brighton are worse. Luton aren't. They're not whipping boys at home, essentially. If we go away from home and look at XG data, see, Chelsea are the 3rd best attack in the league away. Do you know what? Maybe I changed my mind about benching Palmer then. Chelsea pretty good away from home. Luton are okay at home, but not as good as I thought. What about... Let's switch to players. If you've just joined, we're just looking at Palmer right now, whether he's a player that would be happy benching. If we look at his XG... Actually, I'm going to look at his non-pen XG. Okay, that swings it back, though. Palmer's not great away from home. Wow, Palmer is much better at home. Yeah, Palmer's much better at home. That's really difficult. I'd still feel okay benching Palmer then. His data's really not great away from home. It is limited minutes, by the way. It's only like 400 minutes, but that would be enough to put me off slightly, I think. And by the way, Palmer's a fine option, but I think when people have got benching headaches, like I wouldn't bench Solanke in a million years. Solanke's an absolute boss. Right, I missed a few super charts. Let me make sure I get those looked at. Is that collar hiding a Christmas hickey? No. It's hiding me being cold. Start Big Dom versus Spurs or Palmer versus Luton. I'd start Big Dom. There's no way I'd bench Solanke. I'm absolutely terrified of Solanke every week. Solanke would... I mean, Solanke's a captaincy option, in all honesty. He really is. Bench boost of Areola, Saliba, Palmer, Colwill. Yes. Yeah, that is a bench boost, absolutely. Archer to Alvarez, Lascelles to Trent, or Roll. I'd bench Palmer if I make the second transfer. I would go Archer to Alvarez. Archer to Alvarez looks good to me. Rashid says bench boost, Turner, Darwin, Trippier, and Taylor. That is not a bench boost for me. I've got a very similar one myself. No, that's not a bench boost for me. Turner's not great. Taylor's not great. Trippier's probably going to concede if Darwin does return. You're probably looking at a 12 to 15 points maximum, I think, there when I look at that bench boost. So no, not for me. Alexander says double Arsenal defence or Gordon/Darwin. I would go one Arsenal defender and Darwin. Should I move my Haaland money to Trent? I would feel fairly comfortable now, yeah, moving the Haaland money to Trent. I don't see... We haven't had a positive update on Haaland for a while now, so... Ross, what's the data on Saka? We can look at the data on Saka in a second. Yelena says Richarlison to Foden for a -4. I wouldn't do that in a million years, Yels, but that's just because I think Richarlison's still a really good option. In fact, I will show you why I wouldn't do that. If we head over to the hub, not that hub, don't be sus, and type in Richarlison, and then type in Phil Foden. I know I've just brought in Foden, by the way, instead of Richarlison. The fixture's there to target. But if we look at their home and away data and then do only selected players per 90, Foden's non-penalty expected goals is 0.26. Richarlison's is 0.52. I didn't realise, but it is literally exactly double for Richarlison what it is for Foden. If we then change that from Game Week 10... it's still 0.52 for Richarlison. It's 0.38 for Phil Foden. And then if we just go up to, from Game Week 12, so the last 8 game weeks, it's then 0.63 for Richarlison, 0.22 for Foden. So it doesn't matter which sample size you look at. Richarlison's just got at least double the goal threat that Foden has. When you also couple in with that, from next week, I think Richarlison will be on penalties in the absence of Son. You've got someone with double the goal threat of Foden and also on penalties. It does make me wonder, by the way. Let me just add Bowen into the equation as well, because these were the 3 players I was looking at. It was Bowen, Foden, or Richarlison for me. It does make me wonder why I went for Foden, but there we go. If we sort by non-penalty expected goals, Richarlison 0.63, Bowen 0.42, Foden 0.22. Even again, if we spread that across the whole season... it's 0.52 for Richarlison, 0.43 for Bowen, and 0.26 for Foden. So Bowen and Richarlison have almost, if not more, than double the goal threat of Foden. So, do I still think Foden's great? Absolutely, right? That's the reason I brought him in. And I think the fixtures over the next 3 are there to target. You've got Burnley and Sheffield United at home in the next 3. And Foden is a great player, but... I mean, just look at the data there. You can see the data for yourself. He's not putting up great data every week. The highest data since game week 11, so post that Manchester United game when City just battered United, the best data he's shown is 0.62 XGI. And then outside of that, it was actually against Everton. And if you watch the game, Foden ran that game. But it was a 0.41 XGI. Like, the reason I know people are just probably sat there just tuning out because I'm just saying loads of numbers, but the data gives you a more objective view on whether that player actually got clear-cut chances. Sometimes you can watch a game, and this happens with Bruno, and you go, that player dominated that game. They were unbelievable. They're the best FPL player in the world. he wasn't. He didn't get that many clear-cut opportunities, and he didn't create any opportunities either. So, do I still think Foden is fine for the next two? The next three, I should say, obviously, because I brought him in for that reason. But yeah, I'm not. I don't think Foden's going to break the game. It's why I'm not considering a Foden captaincy myself, just because I've not seen enough from him yet. And I'm saying this a little bit guiltily because I know my girlfriend is going back and forth on whether she should captain Foden, and I don't want to put her off of that because she knows better than I do anyway. But it's just not quite there for me at the moment. Keeping Darwin on wildcard is tempting me. He broke the line versus Newcastle this season and last. Yeah, he scored a brace off the bench against Newcastle earlier in the season, didn't he? 11 points. I have no issue with keeping Darwin, especially once Salah goes off to AFCON. A front three of Jota, Diaz and Darwin, or Jota, Gakpo and Darwin, I think is probably quite likely. So, and he could be on penalties. I don't think it's the worst decision to keep Darwin. Foden or Solanke on the bench? Neither. Palmer or Saka? I guarantee you own Palmer or Saka. I would prefer to bench both of those to Foden and Solanke. If you can't bench Foden this week. If you bench Foden this week, there's no point having Foden. I know I just said all of those, not negative things about Foden, but all of the concerns. You can't bench Foden this week. Like, there is literally no point in having him if you're going to bench him this week. I would just not bother having him in your team. Can you be my professor, please, Ross? Absolutely. Absolutely. I can be anyone's professor. Prof Raptor. Happy New Year. Keep up the amazing content. Thank you, Cap. That's very kind of you. Happy New Year to you as well. 7.2 in the bank, 1 free transfer. Would you roll or Archer to Alvarez and Kunku? Yeah, I would just do Archer to Alvarez. Yeah, get it done. Start Darwin versus Newcastle or Palmer versus Luton. I have that exact debate myself. I'm currently edging towards starting Palmer simply because he's on penalties, we think. If Nkunku's on pens, then it was probably a bad decision. But yeah, I'm just about leaning towards starting Palmer. But I do really want to get Darwin into my starting 11 quite badly. Hi, Ross. Silva or Foden for Luis Diaz? Which one? Sorry, my voice went there. I prefer Foden to Silva. Both of them have pretty poor data this season, but Foden's a greater goal threat than Silva. Chris says, take a hit to get Trent or Tsimikas to Gusto. Take a hit to get Trent or Tsimikas to Gusto. I would go Tsimikas to Gusto, probably. I don't know. I'd take a hit for Trent this week. Although, I guess you just get Trent in position then. There's worse players to take a hit for, I guess. You could go for it. Hey, Ross, love your content. By the way, what's your favourite milkshake? Chocolate, strawberry, vanilla, caramel? Maybe controversial. I would say I'm a banana milkshake, which isn't even on the list. But out of the options you gave me, chocolate, strawberry, vanilla, caramel, I'd say vanilla. I know, boring. I don't really like chocolate and strawberry milkshakes. You know? So I would say banana, vanilla, caramel third. Benching Saliba versus Estepinian, Palmer versus Garnacho. I would bench Garnacho and Saliba. Garnacho and Saliba there, but I don't like that at all. Happy New Year, Raptor. Happy New Year, Pratik. My defense is Porro, Burns, Tsimikas, Taylor, and Lamptey with 1 free transfer and 7.4 in the bank. Help me, Dr. Ross, open to taking a hit. Ooh, that's a tough one. I mean, Porro and Burn are fine a little bit longer term, so I'd be fine keeping them. Taylor's fine. I would do Tsimikas to Trent. And then maybe, I guess, Tsimikas to Trent, and then maybe Lamptey to Estepinian. I mean, you don't have an Arsenal defender, actually. Right, change my mind. Tsimikas to Trent, Lamptey to Gabriel, and then start Porro, Gabriel, and Trent. That would be what I would do. Hassan says, play Darwin or Gordon? Currently leaning towards Darwin. Yeah, I would start Darwin ahead of Gordon. At home, looking good at the moment, I'd start Darwin, yeah. Neither of them are on penalty, so that doesn't matter. 1 free transfer. Should I be aggressive and do Son to Foden? Not with 1 free transfer, no. If you had 2 free transfers and nothing to do, I would say yes. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that, though, with 1 free transfer. Marcus says, morning, people, and morning, Ross. Good morning, Marcus. Good to see you in the chat, my man. Ross saying vanilla after what he was saying in the members call yesterday. What did I say in the members call yesterday? I don't even know. I say some crazy things on those members calls. By the way, if you are a Rap Tier 1 member, which is £4.99 a month, give me your money. Now, if you're a Rap Tier 1 member, we do monthly now Discord calls. So we do like a little, basically it's like a live stream just for you members. So yesterday, I think we had 15 people join. And yeah, we just sit there and chat about all your teams in detail. So if you want to become a Rap Tier 1 member, there's a link in the description, or if you're on desktop, I think you can do it. And then, yeah, you can join in those Raptor calls. There's a Discord link being spammed in the chat right now by Harris. Go, Harris. And yeah, he'll give you the Discord link, and you can join the Discord as well. Hello, Ross. Thoughts on getting Tony next week against Forest? Wish you a happy 2024. If he doesn't leave in January, yes, Ivan Toney will be top of my wish list in the forward spot. I think people forgot how good Toney is. But we need to see if he's up to full fitness, and we also need to make sure that he is staying at Brentford. If he moves to Arsenal, which is some people are rumouring, then still a good option, but you want to wait for that transfer to go through. So yeah, I think I would wait for Toney a little bit. Hello, Ross. Who to bench? Salah, Son, Foden, Bowen, or Richarlison? Probably Richarlison out of those options there. But again, I don't love that. But I just think the other four options are too good. Paul says, is starting Darwin over Saka an option? Thinking Saka first bench. I'm tempted by that. Saka's not great away from home. We'll look at the data in a second. But yeah, Darwin over Saka is definitely a possibility. And I'm considering it myself. I can't comment yet whether I think that is the right thing to do, because I'm still thinking. But I don't hate it. Hwang to Foden or Archer to Alvarez. 2 free transfers. And also have Son and Salah going away. Archer to Alvarez is fine for me. Yeah, that'd be the way I lean there. Hwang for one more week is good, as long as he starts, which I think he will. Monk says, good day from Sydney Raptor. Big up, I need to go to Australia at some point. If you did not own Alvarez, who would you captain between Salah, Foden, Watkins, and why is it Foden? It would be Salah for me, but I don't mind the punt on Foden captain. He just doesn't have the same routes to points that Salah has. Because of the penalties for Salah, and because Salah is very, very creative as well as a goal threat, I think Salah every game week has 3 viable routes to points, which is pens, assists, and goals. With Foden, I would say that he has a bit of creativity, but generally I think we're looking at a goal, and then that's it. Like, he doesn't take many corners, and when he does, they tend to be short. Doesn't take many free kicks. It kind of just feels a little bit like you're relying on him having a bit of a masterclass for him to get points. I compared it in my game week, my deadline decisions video, to Alvarez. Alvarez has so many routes to points, right? He's got corners, he's got penalties, he's got free kicks, he's got goals, he's got assists. Like, he can kind of do everything. Whereas with Foden, I feel like it's very much open play. So that's why I would prefer Salah. And it's the same with Watkins as well. Watkins is a great player, don't get me wrong. And Burnley at home is a great fixture. But Watkins has one route to point. One route. My camera's gone as well, on top of me struggling to get my words out. With captains, I just want them to have as many routes to points as possible, is what I'm trying to get out whilst I'm speaking. Raptor, do you have wood? I wish I had wood. I've been wanting wood for a while now, but I've been struggling to get wood into my team. I don't know why you're being sus, you know? Yeah, the camera freaked out way too early today. That's only 40 minutes. What's that about? Why is the camera freaking out after 40 minutes? That's a joke. It's a joke. Are we back? No. Oh, God. That's a disaster. Disaster. Would you get wood? I don't know. Chat, would you like me to get wood? This is even funnier because you can't see my face. Chat, let me know in the chat if you want me to get wood. Shatanic says bench 1 out of Darwin, Saka, Palmer. I have that exact debate myself. At the moment, I've obviously got Darwin bench, but Saka and Palmer both away from home. Not great away. We'll look at Saka's data in a second. I am tempted to bench one of Saka or Palmer and start Darwin. There you go, I'm back. Yelena FPL, the famous Yelena FPL, has become a Rap Tier member. Check you out. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. You didn't need to do that, but I love the support. Thank you for becoming a member of the Rap Tier family officially. You were on an honorary member anyway, but now you're official. 1 free transfer, sell Martinelli or Gordon for Foden. Yeah, I would do Martinelli to Foden. I'd keep Gordon. Because beyond Game Week 23, Gordon's great. Whereas Martinelli just looks like he's going to be stinky for a while. Griff Dempster says, thoughts on João Pedro, Gross, and Alex Moreno as wildcard risks? Or top 10k, much love from Australia. Well done on the rank. I like all 3 of those. I think João Pedro's great as a third forward. Moreno is great, but could be an issue once Luka Dean's back, but maybe he plays well enough to keep that spot. I like Gross because of the fixtures, but the data's not really there. The output is, and when João Pedro's not on the pitch, Gross is on penalties. Gross is the one I'm least keen on there. I don't mind him, but he's the one I'm least keen on out of the 3. Trina says, hey Ross, would you transfer out Salah, Saka or Son for Foden? No, I wouldn't. I'd leave the 3 of them in there. Ross likes Wood, pass it on. I mean, who doesn't like Wood? Who doesn't like Wood? My girlfriend was being cute, don't mind me. She sent me one cute message and then one very not cute message. I won't read them out for the benefit of her. Solanke out for Alvarez. No, I wouldn't be selling Solanke at all. Not in a million years. Not in a million years. I think my issue is I would struggle to fit Wood in. I think, listen, we've all been in that position where you struggle to fit Wood in. And I think for that reason, I just can't get Wood. You know? Well, what did I want to look at? I wanted to look at the data for Saka away from home, didn't I? Let me bin off all this. And let me type in Saka. Want to see if it's improved, don't we, really? Has the data for... Actually, let's then also put Darwin in here. And we can compare the 2 of them. Because I'm tempted to bench Saka for Darwin myself. I'm also tempted by Palmer. Let's chuck all 3 in. Because this is my current debate myself. It might help a few of you out. I don't know if you're in exactly the same position as me. So firstly, at home, which is only for Darwin... So Darwin's got 0.67 non-penalty expected goals. I didn't want to see that. Per 90 at home, which is really good. And then Palmer and Saka both have very good data as well. I mean, all 3 of these players at home are exceptional options. But obviously, Palmer and Saka are away. I mean, Saka and Palmer just stink away from home. I really should start Darwin. I mean, Saka's 0.19 non-pen XG away from home. It's crap. It really is. And it's been that way every... Like, if you go back, let me even show you. I can show you that to prove the point. Away from home last season, Saka had 0.15 non-penalty expected goals and 0.12 expected assists. Same with Palmer as well. I mean, Palmer only played 146 minutes, so let's ignore that. Away from home, Saka has never been and probably never will be a great option. But in any single week, could he turn it on? Of course he could. It's Fulham away. And I think the last 2 games have been 3-0, haven't they? For Arsenal at Craven Cottage, if I remember correctly. Whereas at home last season, Saka's great data. At home this season, Saka's got great data. It's just away from home. I mean, what was it like 2 seasons ago? Great data at home. Slightly worse, but not too bad data. He's just not as good away from home. He's much, much better at the Emirates. I feel like I should bench Palmer or Saka for Darwin. Chat, what do we think? Oh, wait, one sec. I wasn't looking at the chat during that. I was just ranting. Let me get back to my team and let me look at the chat to see if anyone thinks I should start Darwin. Sorry, I just realised I just dropped all of those wood puns and then just left. Curly Harris, Mr. Harris, I don't know if to call you Curly or Harris, I'm just calling you Harris, says Darwin tax. Yeah, Darwin tax is true. Darwin tax is true. You do have to consider the Darwin. That's actually a very factual statement, you know. Also, Saka and Palmer on pens. So, Darwin tax plus penalties. Maybe I don't start Darwin. Hey, Ross, would you transfer out Salah, Saka, or Son for Foden? Salah, Saka, or Son for Foden? No, I did that one, didn't I? I said no. Still have Bruno. Foden? If you've got Bruno still, I'd be tempted to keep Bruno for this week, you know. Emma says, morning, Ross. Good morning, Emma. Trouble next week. Jackson, Salah, Son, and Hwang to AFCON. Should I take a hit this week to get rid of Jackson or just leave it this week? I'd maybe leave it this week. Although I don't know if I expect Jackson to start. I think it could be in Nkunku, Sterling, Palmer. With like Gallagher in behind or something like that. I wouldn't be surprised if Jackson doesn't get the nod here. I'd keep him just in case, and then you're going to have to take a hit this week or next week, so maybe just delay the hit until next week, Emma. News on Diaz. Will he be played for City in Game Week 20? I don't actually have an update on Ruben Diaz yet, but maybe we'll get one before the deadline, because they do play at 3 p.m. today. So yeah, stick around. Maybe we'll get some early team news around Man City. Zodiac says, hey, Raptor, we talked yesterday about Trippier to Trent. Now I find out I'm 0.1 short. What to do? I need to use at least one transfer. I've got 2. I think in that case, you probably use a goalkeeper transfer, Zodiac. If I remember your team correctly, I think it's a goalkeeper transfer if you can't do the Trent move. Or you just bring in like an Estepinian instead. Trippier to Estepinian you could do. Wildcard, bench Palmer for Bowen, Taylor for Gusto, blank 26. Yeah, that sounds good. Sounds good to me. Start Bailey / Ward-Prowse. I don't like eggs, but I like you. I don't like eggs, but I like you. Thank you. I would start Bailey. I'd start Bailey. Daniel says, good morning, Ross. Just wanted to wish you a happy new year. Happy new year to you as well, Daniel. Happy new year to everyone watching, by the way. I appreciate you being here. Brought Foden in for Martinelli and tempted to captain if he's central. Darwin is starting for me. Foden will be central, by the way. Foden doesn't play on the wings at the moment, so it will be central. So if that's what you were looking for, I'd go for it, Captain Foden. I want to start Darwin myself as well. Can I do it? Can I bring myself to start Darwin? Maybe I'll spin the wheel in a second. Maybe the wheel will help me out. The wheel does tend to be quite successful in helping me out. Not really. Me and the wheel have a very toxic relationship. Yusuf says, Captain Insidin. And should I start Trippier for Gabriel? I don't know who Insiding is. I don't know who that's an auto. Your autocorrect has failed you there. I'm assuming that's Foden. In which case I don't mind it. Should I start Trippier for Gabriel? No, I would start Gabriel to Trippier. Chilwell back in training is interesting going forward. Yes, if he can stay fit. I love Chilwell. I'd always be willing to get Chilwell in. Bench Saka, start Darwin. Will give you something to complain about on Twitter over the year. Oh, you know me too well, Frosty. You know me too well. Happy New Year, Flabberdoodle. I appreciate that. Do you prefer Saka or Bowen this week? Bowen, in all honesty. I prefer Bowen. Yeah. Flabberdoodle says, hey, Ross, it's my birthday tomorrow. Happy birthday for tomorrow. New Year's Eve. That's pretty cool. Who to bench? Estepinian, Saliba, or Porro? I think I'd bench Porro. Maybe Saliba. No, I think Saliba, actually. Porro's got so much attacking threat. Yeah, I'd bench Saliba. But I do think there's a chance that Arsenal keep a clean sheet at Craven Cottage. Wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, it was Captain Foden. In that case, yeah, I don't mind Captain Foden. Gusto or Saliba really doing my head in. Gusto's got more attacking threat, equal chance for a clean sheet. I'd go Gusto. I really would. I'd go Gusto. Happy New Year, Ross. Thanks for everything you do for FPL. Wouldn't be the same without you. That's very kind. Thank you. I'm glad I improved. If I can enhance your FPL experience in any way, I love to hear that. Whether that be through entertainment or information, that's all I want to do. All I want to do is enhance your FPL experience. Pardon me. Excuse me. Pardon me was for the burp, by the way. I didn't do a cheeky fart on stream. Hello there, my fellow Brainiac. Help me out here. Bench 1, Estepinian, Gabriel, Palmer, Porro, or Diaby. Did Villain predict Diaby to start? Let me see. Let me see what FPL Villain predicted. He's got Diaby at a 55% chance for a start. I think considering there's a chance he doesn't start, I'd maybe be tempted to bench Diaby, but I mean, it's such a good fixture if he does. It would be Diaby or Gabriel would be the player I would bench there. If you think Diaby starts, bench Gabriel. If you don't, then bench Diaby. Estepinian and Alvarez in for Semenyo and Simicast to save money for Haaland, or just buy Trent and think about it later. No, I quite like that. Yeah, I quite like that. I mean, I would be tempted to just go for Trent, but it does give you another attacking defender, and it gives you a bit of money in the bank. It's not the worst idea in the world. I obviously opted for Trent because I think Trent is worth the money. Yeah. I'd say go for Trent, but I do like Estepinian. Pickled Joystick says, Alvarez, that sounds a bit sus as well. Alvarez in for Archer with just one free transfer, or should I roll? Yeah, Alvarez in for Archer sounds good. Yeah, I'd still do it. I have Salah, Son, and Hwang to deal with, and Haaland's come back. The addition of Hwang makes it difficult, but, I mean, the way that I would now view that is it's Alvarez to Archer for it. Archer to Alvarez for a hit. Because you're locking yourself into probably needing to take a hit next week to remove at least 2 of Salah, Son, Hwang. In that case, I'm less keen on it, but I still would be tempted. But yeah, understand that if by bringing in Alvarez for free this week, you're locking yourself into a hit next week, the way that you would need to view it instead is you're bringing in Alvarez for a hit. Estepinian in, 0.1 outpriced at 4.9 million. And are there any alternatives? So you can't do Estepinian because you're outpriced. Probably still an Aston Villa defender. Konsa. Fairly boring, but I still think a good option. How much is Alex Moreno? Let me have a look. Moreno's 5 as well. Wait, how much is Konsa's? Yeah, Konsa would probably be where I'd go, I think. Just about. Bench 2, Darwin, Gabriel, Richarlison, Palmer, Porro, Aurier, Saliba starting. I would bench Gabriel and Darwin. Gabriel and Darwin. Maybe Palmer. I still haven't decided on Darwin versus Palmer. Start Gusto or Konsa. Konsa. I think he's got a really high chance for a clean sheet. I would start Konsa. Thank you, mods, in particular Frosty, for dealing with everything. I do appreciate you. Mr. Raptor, bench Saliba, Gabriel, or Cash. I would bench Cash simply because he's got the greatest chance of being benched himself. But obviously, if he does start, that's a mistake. But I just think when there's always a chance that he just cameos off the bench, I would just bench Cash. Hi, Ross. Bailey, Jesus, Johnson, or Son to start? What, you can only... How many can you start of those? I don't know how many you can start. If you can only start one, Son. If you have to only bench one, I would bench probably Brennan Johnson. He's been good recently, but Bournemouth are very good at the back, so I would probably lean Brennan Johnson there. You've got just over an hour till the deadline, by the way, so make sure you're starting to think about your moves. I'm sure you are anyway, hence being here, but don't leave it too late. Alexander says bench Gabriel or Konsa. I'd bench Gabriel. I think you've got to start your Villa defender this week. Alvarez or Nkunku in. I prefer Alvarez, Godnat. The only reason that I'm benching Pau Torres is because apparently he's not fully fit. Should I sell Hwang for Garnacho? I'm not that keen on Garnacho myself. Alfie says, morning, I hope you have a good year next year. I hope you have a good year as well, Alfie. That's very kind of you. Best Aston Villa defender. Still Konsa. Could be Moreno. For the next 2 or 3, it's probably Moreno. But once Luca Dean's back, I don't know who's first choice yet. Before his injury, Moreno was first choice. But since coming back, Luca Dean still seems to be favoured. So, by the way, on the captaincy poll, we've had almost 5,000 votes. Keep making sure you're voting, by the way. Salah is currently the most popular captain with 50% of people captaining Salah. You've then got a quarter of people captaining Alvarez, and then the other quarter are split between Watkins. Who are the other options? Watkins, Son, Foden, and other players, Solanke, etc. So it looks like it'll be a fairly equal split this week, but definitely the popular 2 captains are Salah, the most popular, followed by Alvarez, the second most popular. If I were to predict effective ownership, if you don't know what that is, don't worry. But if you do, 140% I would say for Salah. 75 to 80% for Alvarez is how I would predict it. Maybe slightly lower for Alvarez. Maybe like 65, 70%. Do you back Sterling captain? Not for me. Not on penalties. Not on set pieces. Chelsea, I expect to score limited goals against Luton. Not the best captain for me. Dave says, which mid/attacker to bench? Salah, Son, Saka, Bowen, Palmer, and Kunku, Solanke, Watkins. In all honesty, it would probably be in Kunku or Palmer. I'd bench one of your Chelsea attackers. Probably in Kunku due to minutes. But if he is on penalties and he does start, I'd probably bench in Kunku though. Laker the Space Dog says, is Gordon to Bowen a worthwhile transfer? Yeah, I like that. Or better to roll for flexibility next week. I have Salah and Son and no Haaland. I like it, but I do think rolling and doing Bowen in for Salah or Son instead and keeping Gordon also works, especially with fixtures after Game Week 23 for Newcastle. So I would probably lean toward rolling and doing Bowen in next week. Hayden says, Trippier to Trent. I have Konsa, Gusto and Saliba. Then no. I would just start Konsa, Gusto and Saliba. If Pau Torres was fit and available to start, I probably wouldn't have made the Trent move. The only reason I did Trippier to Trent is because I didn't want to start Trippier this week, but you don't have to in your case. So yeah, I would leave it. Lukey Boy says, hi Ross, would you get Foden or Bowen this week? Whichever one I don't get this week, I'll be getting next week. Yeah, so that's exactly the position I was in, Luke. I just did Foden this week because the fixture is better for me. So Foden in this week and then Bowen in next week. That's the plan as well for me. My plan next week is Son to Bowen and bench Salah, probably. I can show you what that will look like. I might end up taking a hit, by the way. I've definitely not ruled out the possibility of taking a hit. There is a link in the description if you want to get 30% off at Fantasy Football Hub. It's fantastic for planning. So Game Week 20 made my moves. Game Week 21, the plan, like I said, is probably Son to Bowen. Make transfers. Bring Darwin back into the 11. Yes, I'm somehow still going to be having Darwin. And then probably rock with the team like that. I could end up playing Pau Torres if he's fit. I know it's not a perfect team, but it's certainly not terrible. I know I've got double. Obviously, wouldn't captain in Alvarez. Who would I captain? Do you know what? Maybe Bowen. Genuinely. Or probably Saka or Bowen. One of those two. But that would be the way the team looks. I could, like I said, take a hit to bench Foden or Alvarez. Like, if I'm really not that keen, I could end up doing, like, let's say... Who would it be? It would probably be Richarlison, but he's got Man United. Yeah, maybe I wouldn't make the move for Salah that week. Maybe it would just be a case of Bowen in for Son and rolling like that. So yeah, but if you're planning to bring in Bowen this week or next week and Foden's the other player, I think fixtures-wise, it makes sense to do Foden this week and Bowen next week. I think Bowen's fine for this week, by the way. Bowen is absolutely fine for this week. Erdegaard, of course. Of course. I can't say of course. My Invisalign makes me lisp. Of course. I've only got 3 months left of my Invisalign, though, chat. There's the teeth. That's how they're shaping up. They're getting there. What's it doing? Erdegaard. Yeah, good data recently, actually, hasn't he? 1.11 XGI against West Ham. 0.54, 0.52, 0.50, 0.95. Yeah, do you know what? Odegaard could be that guy. I'm less keen on him than, like, some people seem to be like, Odegaard's the best player in the world. Well, I guess that's Arsenal fans. But, like, I do think he's a fine FPL option. And I've still got a third Arsenal spot free. So, yes, there is a possibility that I go for Odegaard. If you are enjoying the stream, as Zodiac says, please do smash that like button. I do appreciate it. And make sure to subscribe as well. How many off 109,000 are we? Less than 200 subscribers away from 109,000. So if you could subscribe, it's completely free. I would love that. I'd appreciate the support. Benching headache, Palmer or Solanke? Palmer for me. I'd play Solanke. I also have Foden as captain. I think he's more explosive than Alvarez. What's the reason for that? They've both got one double-digit haul this season. Foden on only one occasion has had more than one XGI. If we compare that to Alvarez, so Foden's got more than one XGI on one occasion. Alvarez has had more than one XGI on three occasions and 0.97 on one occasion too. And he's on penalties, and he's on corners, and he's on free kicks. The only reason I would say Foden maybe is more explosive than Alvarez is because he's a midfielder. And that is something that needs to be considered. Foden gets an extra point for a goal and Foden gets an extra point for a clean sheet. So maybe Foden is more explosive for that reason. But data-wise and routes to points-wise, Alvarez is more explosive than Foden. Also, this idea that Watkins is due a haul is rubbish. No one's ever due anything. Also, his data's naff. Watkins' data since Spurs and Fulham when he went on that really nice run when his data was great. 0.18, 0.31, 0.17, 0.44, 0.28, 0.004. Watkins' data now for 6 or 7 game weeks has been really crap. I'm considering at some point selling Watkins. We'll see, because he's been very, very good this season. But something seems a bit off with Ollie Watkins. Burnley at home's a great fixture, by the way, but yeah, I'm not convinced about him at the moment. Would you bench Palmer for Konsa? No. Thoughts on Bowen captain? Brighton only have one fit centre-back. Yeah, I don't hate it. Don't hate that at all. Could go for it. There are very few captaincy options that I dislike this week. They're all great. Which is why it is so difficult this week, I think. Why is Foden better than Bernardo Silva? He's just got better goal threat. Bernardo Silva's goal threat is non-existent. It's really non-existent. I know he has scored this season, but in general, his goal threat is basically non-existent. Jason Prince says, hi Ross, Fleck and Saliba and Jesus out for Martinez, Trent, and Alvarez on a -4. Thank you for all of the fantastic content this year. You're more than welcome. I don't like a -4 that involves selling Saliba and selling Jesus. I wonder, can you just do for free Martinez and Alvarez in for Flecken and Jesus and leave the Saliba transfer? Because Saliba to Trent for a -4 doesn't feel nice to me. Gunners says, bench Palmer, Saka, Foden, Richarlison, Son, Solanke, Watkins or Alvarez. Probably Palmer. Yeah, probably Palmer. All this negativity is bringing me down. That's what I do, you know? Just slate all of the players. Is Foden definitely going to start? I would be very surprised if Foden or Alvarez are benched. We don't know, of course, but I'd be surprised. Do you know what it's time for, chat? Chat, what do you think it's time for? See how well you know me. What do you think it's time for? There is a special time right now. What's it time for? Konsa or Saliba? Konsa. Yeah. You guys know. You guys know what time it is. Time for the wheel. The wheel. So. Oh, one sec, chat. Oh, that was a big stretch. Oh, you saw how good that stretch was, didn't you? Wow, that was lovely. Let's do a captaincy spin first. And there are a lot of captaincy options this week. Hit me with all of the captaincy options. This wheel spin might break my computer. It might do. But will it be worth it? Not at all. Do I care? No. Salah, Alvarez, Watkins, Son, Foden. Who are we captaining? I'm not going to include like everyone, but if there are players that are popping up on multiple occasions. Solanke, yeah, I'm happy putting Solanke in there. Quite a few people on Bowen. Pop Trent in there. Okay, right, that is it. I'm going to leave it there. That is a lot of captaincy. If you are new to the channel, we spin the wheel every week and we never listen to it, but we're going to do this week. It has to land on the player twice. It has to land on the player twice because it's best of 3, basically. Sometimes we'll spin a third time if it's not what we want. Okay? So this is captaincy. God, it is actually going to break my computer. Oh, dear God. Not again. Please, Solanke, don't destroy my team again. It's the only player that I don't own that I'm terrified of every week. I mean, even Bowen. Bowen's great, but I'm not terrified of Bowen. But Solanke scares me. Please don't haul again, Solanke. Okay, Solanke's got 1. Salah with 1. Okay, Salah and Solanke each with 1 to them. Trent. My new transfer in for this week. Clearly, so far, the will is back in Liverpool to do one over on Newcastle. And to be perfectly honest, I wouldn't be that surprised if that's the case. How often does the will work? I'll be honest. Not very often. not very often. Right. Trent. I can hear the disappointment in your voice with the will landing on Salah there. Yeah, I know. It's just a bit boring, isn't it? Right, where's the Alvarez and Foden? Come on, Will. Be a bit spicy. Land on Foden or Alvarez. Get spicy for us. Yeah, there we go. The will listens. Me and the Will are like this. Like we're connected. We've got a really good connection. Okay, we go again. This is lots of will spinning. I do apologise if it's annoying to you, but you know what? If it's annoying, don't care. I don't even have Bowen. I don't have Solanke or Bowen. What is this nonsense? Is someone supposed to be keeping track? If you look just here, there's +1 next to the times they've spun once. Oh no, hands off the screen. So everyone apart from Watkins, Son, and Foden has had 1 spin. Now Foden. How have we not had someone that spun twice? This never happens. Okay, Foden's now had 1. So Son and Watkins are the only 2 that haven't had a spin. I think this will be the one. I think this will land on someone for the second time. Oh, I almost swore there, chat. The will is such a little template bastard. Such a little template. Ooh, look at me. I love effective ownership. Get in the bin. Yelena says that was a very manly laugh. I'm a manly man, Yelena. I'm a manly man. Oh, I love effective ownership. I'm a little template. Bloody will. Boring. Let's spin once more for people that aren't boring and captaining Salah. Boring. Let's spin once more for people that aren't boring but don't own that aren't boring but don't own Bowen. Yeah. Trent. Spice. There we go. We got a bit of spice. So just to recap, if you are a boring old fart and you love the template and you just want to be template friends, then you should captain Salah. If you're exciting and you have Bowen, you should captain Bowen. And if you if you are exciting but don't have Bowen, you should captain Trent. There we go. I'm starting to read your tweets in that voice. Will help them all make a lot more sense. Yeah, I tweet in that voice a lot. Bloody template friends. We hate the template. We hate. Boo to the template. Boo. 45 likes. I don't have 45 likes. It says on my end I've got 603 likes. But, I mean, feel free to keep liking. Feel free to keep subscribing. I'm never going to complain about that. Wildcard, Richarlison, Martinelli, or Palmer Saka? I would say Palmer Saka. I wouldn't have Martinelli on a wildcard. I just sold Martinelli. Bench Palmer, Solanke, or Darwin? Probably Darwin there. 2 free transfers. Whom should I remove from Udogie, Pinnock, Kulusevski, Diaby for Trent Foden or Trent Johnson? Also pick between Trent Foden or Trent Johnson. Trent and Foden. I would probably prefer to remove maybe Udogie just because Spurs' defence is just all over the place. And Diaby. Probably Udogie and Diaby. Magnetic Sparks plays says, morning Ross, 5 million to replace a non-playing defender, so Konsa, Estu or Gusto for this week and future rotation. I have Porro, Saliba, Cher, Senesi. Considering you've already got 4 good defenders, I would probably go Estepinian. Because if he gets injured or he's really rotated heavily and stuff, you can always bench him. Yeah, I would go Estepinian. You've got the team to accept that. However, you've already got a decent amount of money in your defence. So I don't mind the idea of a Gusto. I think you've got a good enough defence to not have to pick a nailed player. Is kind of what I'm getting at there. Good morning, Raptor. Would you play Gusto or Senesi? Gusto for me. Bench Darwin, Solanke or Palmer? I think Darwin. I think I've been leaning towards saying Darwin, which is probably what I'll end up doing myself. Father says, hi Ross, great game week 18, 63 points. In a stinker game week 19, 30 points. Yeah, that's rough. Now my team is Dubravka, Porro, Gabriel, Trent, Salah, Saka, Erdegaard, Palmer, Richarlison, Solanke, Watkins, and Nkunku. What do you think, Ross? Who would you play? I think you're probably right there. It's either Erdegaard or Nkunku I would have on the bench. I think you could go either way with it. Team's looking really good, mate. You should have hopefully a better week than you had in game week 19. Chris says, good morning. Oh, I said that. Did that one. Play Gabriel or do Archer to Alvarez with 1 free transfer? Play Gabriel or do Archer to... I would play Gabriel. I think Gabriel would probably get you 6 points. Archer to Alvarez and bench Saka Palmer or roll the free transfer. I would just play Saka Palmer. I wouldn't bring in Alvarez for free if it means you're benching a really good option. Unless you've got 2 free transfers, then I ban it. But if it's 1 transfer, then less keen. Yeah, we can have a look at Gordon's data. Start Trippier or Gabriel? I'd start Gabriel out of Trippier. You got 45 minutes till the deadline, chat. Make sure you're starting to think about some stuff with your team. What are we looking at? Looking at Gordon. We want Anthony Gordon. And we'll go custom, because I've set up my own little custom table. And we'll go away per 90. So Gordon's data away per 90 isn't particularly good, no. 0.33 expected goal involvement. And then at home, 0.59. It's a very similar situation to Saka. Saka is much... Same situation to Palmer. There are so many, like a remarkable number of players that are much better at home than they are away. There are some players that doesn't really massively affect them. Darwin's an example who's just got good data across the board. But yeah, Gordon is much better at home. Away from home, he's not really it. You can see there. But again, that's not just Gordon. That's Palmer, that's Saka, that's Martinelli, that's Erdegaard to some extent, that's Bruno Fernandes, that's Rashford. Like, all of the players that I seem to look at, I'm always like, wow, they are much better at home. Watkins is another good example, I think. Is he? Watkins away. Yeah, Watkins is so much better at home again. It's funny. It is remarkable. You'd think like there wouldn't be that much of a difference. They're professional footballers. They'll be good. No. There's not all Alvarez. That's what we should look at. We should look at Alvarez. Sorry, I'm a bit of a nerd. I like looking at data. This is what I do when I'm just looking. Okay, so at home, Alvarez, okay, 0.61 non-penalty expected goal involvement. And away, okay, 0.51. Alvarez is the kind of player that he's slightly better at home, but there's not a massive amount of difference. Right, Foden's the final player I wanted to look at, and then I'll stop. Don't mind me just nerding out. Don't mind me. Foden away, 0.49. Foden's better away from home. That's the first player I've found in a very long time. Foden's better away from home. This season at least. What about last season? Is that something that happened last season with Foden? No, not at all. So that's specific to this season. Foden's better away from home this season. Interesting. I'm not trying to put your Foden captaincy, by the way, people, but... Can you look at... Oh, sorry. I didn't see it. Loads of people in the chat asking me to look at Bowen. Yeah. Bowen is probably better away from home, isn't he? He always seems to return away from home. Bowen. So, are we in the right season? We're in the wrong season. One sec. Oh, no. I broke it. I dumb broke Fantasy Football Hub. Okay, we're back. Bowen. Custom save. Bowen per 90 this season at home. 0.36. So 0.41 non-penalty expected goal involvement. And then away from home, 0.71. Bowen's much better away from home. So maybe not the best week to captain Bowen. Yeah, quite considerably better away from home for Bowen. Right, that's it. I'll stop deep diving into the stats and get back to answering your questions. Play Isak and roll, or what do I do? I would just do Isak to Alvarez if you've got that possibility, Freddie. Is Trent or Brown? Who's Brown? I have no idea who that's a typo for. Sometimes I can work out who that's a typo. Is that Bowen? Is that meant to say? I'm going to guess it's Bowen. I don't think either are worth a -4, no. Hi, Raptor. Would you bench Palmer, Saka, or Solanke? I think Palmer from those three. Would you do Martinelli to Ødegaard for a -4? No, I wouldn't do that. Yeah, I don't think Bowen or Trent are worth a -4 personally. No, it was Bowen, not Brown. The guy's just confirmed. But thank you for suggesting it might be Brown from Luton. Might have to take this off, chat. It's starting to heat up in a striptease in the middle of a stream. There you go. Dun 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 dun. The bulk's going well, by the way. For anyone that's wondering, not that anyone is. It's going well. I'm a big fat boy now, which is good. Bowen or Foden? I think if you're going to go for both, Foden this week, Bowen next week. If you're only going for one, Bowen. When does Wood become a viable option? We've been talking about Wood a lot. Don't you worry. Now, we've been talking about Wood quite a bit, but I think he's fine. Let me have a look at his data over the last few. I'm gonna bin off the Wood puns and actually genuinely take a look at Wood. That still sounds sus, doesn't it? I mean, 2.22 XGI in one game is ridiculous. That is just stupid. But in the game before that, 0.28. I know he picked up an 11-pointer. We have nothing to suggest, although he picked up 1.78 against Luton. I mean, when Wood starts, his data is great, but I kind of want to see a bit more from him. Fixtures-wise, a bit rubbish. If we see that he continues to start and look good, I'd only start considering him here, really. I'm a fixtures man. At heart, I'm a fixtures man. I need to see a bit more from him. I know he's just got 28 points in 2 weeks, but yeah. I've also only got the 0.1 in the bank now, by the way, after making those moves yesterday. So it's not looking good for me, Brev, in terms of flexibility. By the way, chat, I'm probably going to have to leave. At the latest, it's at the deadline. Maybe a little bit earlier because I've got a train to catch and I've not yet eaten anything. So I may have to leave a little bit early. I do apologise. I know that's terrible to leave you just before the deadline, but I am going to see Mrs. Raptor and I need to get the train. Mrs. Raptor got me a lovely present for Christmas. Let me see if I can show you this, chat. It's got, I don't know if it's going to be, one sec. How is the camera going to focus? Are you going to be able to see that? What am I doing? It's got a football pitch on it. I don't know if you can see that. You're not going to be able to see that because of the angle of my wrist. It's got a little football pitch. It's very cute. I like it. I like my jewellery, as you can see. And it was a very nice Christmas present. So well done, Mrs. Raptor. You have plans. Shocking. I actually have a life, chat. Now, I know. Crazy stuff. Ross has a life. I've seen this egg chat in FPL for weeks. He doesn't have a life. But there we go. I glanced away for 2 seconds. How we got this many super chats that I've missed? This is panic. If Powell was fit, would you start him over Gabriel? Yes. Start Gahey or Cash? Cash. Bench 2. Darwin, Estepinian, Udogie, Saliba, Saka. I would bench Udogie and Saliba. Udogie and Saliba. Carl says, play Cash, Udogie, or take a -4 for who? Got Trent and Porro. Play Cash, Udogie, or take a -4 for who? Got Trent, Porro. I would just start Udogie, probably. Very nice, damn, you're hairy. I have got very hairy arms. There we go. You can see. I'm a hairy boy. What can you do? What can you do? There's not a lot you can do. I guess you could shave your arms, but you know. Pre-Mrs. Raptor, you had no life. It's just rude. Is it confirmed that Powell's not playing? No, but it doesn't look good. He said he's really happy with the way Lenglet's playing. Pau Torres isn't 100% fit. And so that they can continue playing with Lenglet. So, no, I don't think Pau Torres is going to play, which is why I've got him on the bench. If I thought there was a chance, I'd play him. But there's always the slight concern that he comes on for like 20, 30 minutes. And I don't want to take that risk. Playing a 4-3-3, would you bench Palmer or Diaz? Probably Diaz. I'd probably play Palmer, bench Diaz. Jack says, love my midfield. Bowen, Saka, Son, Salah, Bernardo Silva. But I have enough for Foden. Who do I get rid of? I wouldn't. I think your midfield's fine. I would leave it as it is. And if you do want to get a goalkeeper, I think it's probably Edison, Raya, or Emi Martinez is where I would go. Ali says, Colwell, Gabriel, Porro, Trent, which 3? Saka, Palmer, Bowen to start. I would probably say Trent, Porro, and Gabriel, and I would bench Colwell. Saka, Palmer, Bowen start 2. I would start Bowen and Saka and bench Palmer. So I'd bench your 2 Chelsea players because I think Luton could do one potentially over on Chelsea. Chris says, good morning. I have 1 free transfer from my bench as a state. Already have Alvarez. Bring in Bowen or Foden for Chukwuemeka or Roll. I'd have to bench Solanke though. No, not if you're going to bench Solanke, Chris. I would just start Solanke. Do we think Diaby starts? I think so, but there's always a chance he doesn't. I think FPL Villain had him at 55% chance of starting. So more likely to start than not, but it's pretty close. Callum, have a feeling about Trenty is capping him silly. Is it silly? I don't think ever captaining Trent is silly, but I think there's a chance Newcastle score. And I think there are some other really good high upside options. So it's never silly. Trent could do very well, but I think there are better fixtures and players to target for me. If you have a feeling about him, though, go for it. Hello, mate. I'm on a wildcard with 8.7 in the bank for a midfielder. Thinking Bernardo or Erdegaard. What would you suggest? Have Richarlison, Palmer, Foden and Bowen. I'd go Erdegaard because you don't have Saka. So I think you just in case Arsenal start turning it on, I'd want a piece of the Arsenal attack. Lassie says, bench Diaby or João Pedro? I'd play João Pedro at the moment. I'd bench Diaby. Bench one of Porro, Colwill, Palmer, Bowen or Solanke. Probably Colwill. He's got the lowest upside there. Gekyum says, should I bring in Saka or Bowen? I'd go Bowen at the moment, in all honesty. Yeah, Bowen. Bit of a benching headache. Play Saliba / Walker or Gordon Solanke. I would play Solanke and Walker. Solanke and Walker. Darwin to Alvarez or Diaby to Bowen Foden. Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you too. I would go Diaby to Bowen or Foden myself. And either or is fine. I think they're both good options. Pau or Livramento? Neither. I mean, start Pau because Livramento's not keeping a clean sheet, but I actually think there's more chance that Livramento starts than Pau Torres. It didn't sound likely at all that Pau would start. Sell Hwang for Bowen. Yeah, I don't mind that. I don't mind that. Hwang's off next week anyway, so... I'm going Foden captain. Mrs. Raptor, I know you're watching right now. Are you still captaining Foden or have you gone back to Salah? Mrs. Raptor was toing and froing as to whether to captain... Do you know what? Send your team, Mrs. Raptor. We shall look at it right now. Everyone's always interested in what Mrs. Raptor's doing. She's going to send her team and we'll look at it. Imagine if she's not watching. That would be really awkward if she... I'm like, she's definitely watching. She's just turned the stream off. Sick of my crap. Do you think a City asset is a must? Not a must, but if you have the free transfers for it, then why not? There's a possibility that Grealish may start because of the burglary, so you're leaning towards Salah. Grealish starting doesn't affect Foden, Mrs. Raptor. So don't let that put you off. No, may not. Oh, Grealish may not start. Sorry. Grealish not starting still doesn't affect Foden. I guess it makes the team generally a bit weaker. Does it? Yeah, I guess it does. I guess Foden may play out on the left. Do you know what? I prefer Foden on the left. I think I actually do, genuinely. There seems to be this narrative that Foden through the middle is amazing. I think Foden through the middle is amazing for Man City and from a footballing perspective, but that wouldn't put me off captaining him. Mrs. Raptor's just refusing to send her team. So, there we go. She's just messaging me instead. I said, send your team. She's just typing stuff out instead. Do you hate Saka to Foden? Do I hate that? No, not at all. Not at all. Palmer captain if he starts. Do we have any Chelsea team leaks? I don't think so. Not yet. Not yet. I don't know if everyone's seen, by the way, is Ollie Watkins' birthday. And lots of people saying about the birthday the birthday hat trick or whatever. Could happen. Right, this is Mrs. Raptor's team. There you go. Chat. Spam in the chat because she's watching right now and she'll be reading the chat. Do you think she should captain Foden or Salah? Now, that is Mrs. Raptor's team. It's actually, all of a sudden, because I'm basically copying her at this stage. Genuinely, I am copying her. She's just that good. We've actually got a very similar team now. It's basically Solanke versus Alvarez. I've got Alvarez, she's got Solanke. So, if it's anything to go off recently, I'd captain Solanke and sell Alvarez based on that. It's basically your team, but better. Yeah. Foden, Salah. You're not giving her a very good... I kind of want to start Darwin, chat. Who to captain? Alvarez, Foden, Erdegaard, Dom, Bowen. Alvarez for me. Bench 1, Gvardiol, Garnacho, Palmer, Solanke. Probably Gvardiol just because he's got a chance of not starting himself. Dashmate gives me their team 7 million in the bank. Any changes? Next two moves, Hwang to Palmer, then Alvarez to Haaland. If you've got one free transfer, I think you're fine rolling with that team, Dashmate. If you've got 2 free transfers, then maybe make one of those moves this week. Like maybe you could move on Hwang this week, but only if you have 2 free transfers, I think. Otherwise, your team's absolutely fine. Bench 1 of Richie, Palmer, and Nkunku, Solanke, and Son. Probably Richarlison. Just because his minutes have been reduced recently. But I don't want to bench any of those 5 options, I should say. Harrison, bench 2. Colwell, Gabriel, Konsa, Trent, Porro, Solanke. Probably Colwell and Gabriel. I'd start Konsa, Trent, Porro. That's a really nice team, though. You could even be on for a bench boost there, Harrison, depending on the other player on your bench. That's a genuine bench boost team. Or at least a bench boost defense. Forgot to mention this week, my captain is Watkins. There you go, birthday hat-trick for you. Maybe. Bench, Saka, Palmer, and Nkunku, Solanke, or Solanke. Double Solanke. It's probably Palmer and Nkunku from the players you've given me there. Mike A says, Son captain instead of Salah, Alvarez, or Watkins. Son's the highest predicted points on Fantasy Football Hub. Bournemouth definitely conceding 2 against 10 men, Forest. Bournemouth defence conceded 2 against 10 men, Forest. Gut feeling he's due to Hall. I still think the Bournemouth defence is pretty good. And I think there are better fixtures. But if you fancy a Sonny hat-trick, if your gut feeling is telling you that Sonny's going to go out there and bang, then go Son. I would always trust your gut feeling. If you've got a strong gut feeling, I would go that way. Start Zinchenko or Trippier? I'd start Zinchenko ahead of Trippier, Tathan. Start 2, Garnacho, Wood, or Hwang. I would bench... Would I bench Chris Wood? Oh, God, that's tough. Maybe Garnacho. I reckon... But he's been really... all 3 of those have performed very well recently. I would probably start Wood and Hwang and bench Garnacho. She's a Villa fan, so she's got a captain Watkins. That's probably why she's not captaining Watkins. She's very pessimistic about Aston Villa. Zinchenko or Gusto, Solanke or Richarlison. That's a tough one. I would go Gusto ahead of Zinchenko, and I would go Solanke ahead of Richarlison. I said it's my wildcard week. Oh, I didn't see that. If it's your wildcard week, I wouldn't have Hwang. That feels like that's booking in a transfer massively. Yeah, I wouldn't do that if it's your wildcard. Haaland and Taylor to Solanke and Trent. Already got Foden and Alvarez. It does mean only 1 free transfer to fix Salah and Son next week, though. I think I would still be tempted to do that, though. Yeah, I would still be tempted by that, mate. Yeah, I would do it. I think that's a nice set of transfers. By the way, you've only got just over 20 minutes till the deadline. I'll only be streaming for another 10 minutes or so. Just because I have to shoot off and get a train. So make sure you get your teams locked in. I'm actually going to tweet my team right now. Right this second. I've already got it loaded in and ready. Bang. There you go. Team tweeted. Are you going to transfer out both Salah and Son? Probably yes, but not. I don't think I'll do both next week. I don't think there's a need with the way my team is set up to do both next week. I'll probably replace one of them for Bowen and then do the other one the week after if I fancy it. If I feel like I need it. It may be that I just don't need to take one of them out. It also depends on Haaland as well. If Haaland's back, I have to sell Salah, and I probably have to take a -4. Well, I have to take a -4 to fund it. Are you captaining Alvarez or Salah? It's as you can see on the screen. I don't play games. I wouldn't trick you guys. I'm captaining Alvarez. Solanke for Alvarez and Adingra for Foden -4. I wouldn't sell Solanke for a -4, no. Adingra to Foden is fine, but I wouldn't do Solanke to Alvarez. I think Solanke's great. I don't know why everyone wants to sell him. Bench 1, Palmer, Richarlison, Solanke. Probably Richarlison from those 3 options. The other 2 are on pens. Wang to Saka for a -4. Not for me, no. Not for me. I would just play Hwang this week and do it maybe next week. I mean, you might have to take a hit next week anyway, but I'd give Hwang one final week. He's been so good recently. Just got a 14-pointer. If he's fit, give him another week. Why not? Start Leon Bailey or João Pedro. Bailey for me. Bailey's been exceptional. Oh, camera's gone. Couldn't just last, could you, camera? Couldn't just last another 5 to 10 minutes. Do we have any early Chelsea team news? I haven't seen anything, no. I can't see anything. I'll keep my eye out, of course, as I always do. Start Pau Torres. I don't think Pau Torres will start himself, so I'm not going to start Pau Torres because there's always a chance he cameos because he was on the bench last week. He was in full team training, but apparently he's not a 100%. Bloody camera. So there's always a chance that he comes off the bench for like 20 minutes to get his fitness back up. I'm not keen on starting Pau Torres this week. Lewis says bench Palmer or Richarlison. Who to start out of Estepinian, Saliba, Konsa. Also, I have Solanke. Do I captain him? Thanks, mate. Love the content. I would bench Richarlison and start Palmer. And I would start... If you can only start one of those, I would probably start... I'd just go all in on Estepinian, to be honest. But that's just the way I play. I love attacking defenders. I would probably say like Estepinian, Konsa, Saliba. Although Arsenal defence are so good. If you can start 2 of them, I'd definitely start Estepinian and then just whoever you think has a great chance for a clean sheet. I like Solanke captain, but I think there are probably better captains. I think Solanke is the 4th best captain this week. I would say it's Alvarez, Salah, Son, Solanke. I like Solanke, though. I think Solanke's a better captain than Watkins for me. Controversial, I know. N. Shep says, is Pau Torres due to play or no? If not, who is the best replacement? Apparently, he's... Like, do you know what? Let me find the exact quote. Just for anyone that's in a similar situation to me with Pau Torres. If we type in... Oh, there you go. He's in my search already. FPL Villain. He posted the quote from Emery. He said, I think tomorrow he's not available again 100%, so we will wait for the next weeks. But maybe he's on the bench. Then he can, of course, cameo. And we're going to play with Longley because we can get the performances like I want. So, I mean, he hasn't confirmed that Pau Torres isn't going to play. But he basically has. Because he said, we're going to play with Longley. So, like, I don't think there's much chance, if any, of Pau Torres starting. Konsa and Foden for no hit in place of Tsimikas and Garnacho. Yeah. I think that's fine. Yeah, I think that's a nice set of 2 transfers. No major issues for me with that. Should I bench Darwin, Palmer, or Richarlison? Probably Richarlison, just about. Just because he's getting the least minutes of the 3 at the moment. Maybe Darwin. I definitely wouldn't bench Palmer from those 3. I think Palmer would be the one that I would definitely start. Start Estepinian or Colwill, currently on Estepinian. Yeah, I'd probably start Estepinian as well. You've got under 20 minutes until the deadline. Make sure you're locking in your team soon. Hey, mate, who to bench? Foden, Isak, Gabriel, or Saka? Probably Isak. I fancy Liverpool to keep the scoring down for Newcastle. So, yeah, I would probably... And you never even know if he's going to start, in all honesty. Would you sell Watkins? He's been blanking. He has, but I don't know if he's a sell yet. Start Hwang or Darwin? That's a really tough one. Are they at home or away, Wolves? They're at home. It's not a great fixture, though, is it? Probably Darwin. Ross, I have one free transfer in the usual suspects. Gordon to Bowen or Roll. Need to play Gordon this week, by the way. Have Anderson, Liverett, and Archer on the bench. I'd do the move then. If you've got to play him this week, I'd get Bowen in. I don't fancy Gordon to do too much against Liverpool away. He could do, obviously. Anyone could, but doesn't scream points. Start Gabriel or Gordon. Probably Gabriel. What's your rank aim for this season? Is it still top 10k? It was never top 10k. It was always top 50k. My rank has been and always will be target for each season, top 50k. Because top 10k, you need a lot of luck. Top 50k, if you play well and get a bit of luck, it's possible. Top 10k, you need to rely on a lot of good fortune. So I think it's unreasonable to aim for that. I would always aim for top 50k. Captain Watkins or Bowen, both are good. What are your thoughts? I'd probably lean Watkins out of the two. Bowen is much better away from home for some reason. He's not as good at home. Maybe it's the way that West Ham set up on the... Oh, my voice went. Maybe it's the way that West Ham set up on the counter-attack, but Bowen's better away, so I would probably captain Watkins. Ahead of those two. What's Mrs. Raptor's current rank? I think she's about 25k, which is bloody ridiculous. And genuinely, I haven't made a single decision for her this year. She normally goes against what I suggest. Just ridiculous. Start Saliba or Gordon, also cap Bowen or Foden. I prefer Foden cap to Bowen, and I would start Saliba ahead of Gordon. Bench boost, Turner, Gusto, Gordon, and Branthwaite. That's not quite a bench boost for me. Yeah, I can't quite say yes to that bench boost, sadly. Play Gahey or Martinelli? Probably Martinelli. Who is Mrs. Raptor captaining? She's going back and forth between Foden and... I don't know what if she's changed. She messaged me, you are so unhelpful. She's going back and forth between Foden and Salah. I think they're both fine. I prefer Salah, but I am clearly not very good at FPL this season. This is my rank. I'm not the best person to probably be asking. Oh, I just smacked my mic, sorry. But yeah, I feel bad because I think she wants to captain Foden and I'm putting her off it. Captain Foden if you want to captain Foden, Mrs. Raptor. Please do. I would go directly against what I suggest. I just think, yeah, it's just the penalties, it swings it to Salah for me. But I mean, chance of a penalty in any given game is about 10 to 15%. So there's more chance there's no penalty than there is a penalty, you know? Right, chat. I love you all very much. Please make sure you subscribe and like the stream. I know the deadline's not for 15 minutes, but I have a train to catch, and I think it's going to be too... I think it's going to be too much of a rush if I wait until 11. So I'm going to have to love you and leave you before the deadline, which I hate doing. But thank you so much. This is my final piece of content for 2023. So thank you so much for the support over this year. It's been the most ridiculous year of my life. And I can't thank you enough. If you've watched the streams, watched the videos, all of that lovely stuff. So I love you. Thank you. Have a wonderful new year. I will see you in early 2024. And yeah, I'll catch you soon. Love you very much. Thank you again for a brilliant year. And best of luck for Game Week 20. Bye, guys.